let's start here. I mean, what does Line 5 offer to Canadians?
I think people don't know what you've got till it's gone, to quote that old line. And right now, something like one third of the oil and consumed in Canada comes through Line 5 to southern Ontario. So it supplies the original petrochemical complex in Canada was in Sarnia. It was connected to the Western oil discoveries, first by tanker down the Great Lakes in 1949, and then by that line in question in 1953. So the good news is about that line is no one has ever had a gasoline shortage. Nobody's ever gone to the pump in southern Ontario and not been able to get it. So back in the 70s, security was a supply was an issue. A few generations, everybody's asleep at the switch. I don't think people even have any idea where their gasoline comes from until it doesn't show up. Same thing with propane. We send
Hmm.
natural gas liquids, they pick the propane, they send that by rail to Montreal. Every time there's a rail strike, they discover, oh my God, we need some propane too. So it's pretty stinking important to keep the economy of Southern Ontario and Quebec moving.
Now, what is the greatest impact of the pipeline closing?
Greatest impact will be the energy shortages or horrendous gasoline spikes incurred by the people at your end, at the central Canada, at the other end of the pipeline. You're going to go either they're going to bring gasoline by tank truck in from somewhere. I mean, I can see $5 a liter for in the short term till the supply train, and then of course in the west, what'll happen? It'll back up the pipelines again. We'll have a huge disruption. Another case where we'll have the differentials between Canadian crude and U.S. crude. So
Hmm.
it'll cause a temporary price collapse in the West. It'll cause an energy shortage in the East. I don't know how they define catastrophic in the 21st century. This looks pretty awful to me.
Now, considering events like the cold snap in Europe and the recent winter storms across Texas, how crucial is a reliable energy supply to Canada, particularly as it relates to Line 5?
We have never suffered energy shortages in Canada. When we were an exporter of oil and gas from Western Canada, we're an exporter of hydroelectricity from Eastern Canada. People only read about energy shortages. You go to the wall, hit the light switch, the power comes on. You go to the gas pump, it's there. We talk about the price, not the availability. And so we are engineering. This is going to cause um, energy shortages and price spikes in the supply chain. And then depending on how far they go with renewables, what we saw with these other problems was that relying on interruptible electricity, uh, solar doesn't work at night, wind doesn't work when the wind is blowing. For some reason, we've taken energy for granted so
Hmm.
long that we believe we can disrupt the supply chain without consequences. And it would be nice not to learn that the hard way.
If there is a shift away from fossil fuels, why do we need this pipeline?
Well, there is no shift. The shift away from fossil fuels is aspirational. If you look at the world, something only 2 to 3% of the global energy needs come from renewable energy at this time. There's an aspirational transition from fossil fuels. But if you look at the one of the big things about the petrochemical complex in Sarnia is plastics,
Hmm.
chemicals, plastics, and so on. The stuff that it's so ubiquitous, it's such a big part of your everyday life that
Hmm.
people have no idea what it means to be without it. So we keep seeing one side of society saying, "Well, we must do this." But we can't even have an intelligent discussion on what we
Yeah.
have and where it comes from. We
So,
need a we need an education, not shutdown.
so finally, I got 30 seconds for this or so. What should Canada's next step be as the pipeline closure countdown continues?
Well, if I would hopefully the federal government will understand. I think we finally found, after all the pipeline debates we've had in Western Canada, hopefully here's a pipeline that Central Canada loves. It's been easy to block pipelines that don't exist in some part of Canada you don't live in. So I would hope that the federal government would be pushing, and they are. I believe they are. Seamus O'Regan's
Yeah.
already on the record as saying we really rather you to do this, President Biden. But
Yes.
moreover, hopefully we can have a slightly more intelligent discussion as a country
Wow.
about what we need and where it comes from.
Thank you so much for your time today. Definitely appreciate it.